The top 100 is a tasting of around 1,200 to 1,300 wines from wineries that I have got in touch with and said, would you like to submit your wines for the top 100? If so, send them in and let me have a list and prices, etc. But someone over the street who also would like to get into the top 100 isn't going to do so unless the winery concerned has already distinguished itself. So it's a pre-qualification tender process, which some wineries don't get, but never mind. They're entitled to their view that they can jump the fence, but that doesn't happen. And I taste them just procedurally by variety, but by price. So there's under $25 and under, and $25 and over. That's a break that may change to $30 next time around, certainly for red wines. And the wines come in. I do not judge them blind. I know what they are when I judge them. Wine show judging, which I'm a huge believer in, is always done blind. The difference, I say, with what I'm doing for the top 100 and other purposes, including the companion, if you're going to buy a racehorse, a yearling racehorse, you wouldn't go out to the yearling racehorse auction and buy it without having any idea about its bloodlines, not knowing whether it's a sprinter, a stayer, whether it's got really good lines or really bad lines or whatever. It is simply another piece of information which I do absolutely use. And people ask about this value for money and how much do I weigh up the price when I am doing the tasting note and allotting the points. And the answer to that is I'm not influenced by the price, except negatively. If the wine is hugely expensive, then it had better be a hell of a good wine to judge, to get an entry. And I suppose it's also true to a much lesser degree as you go down the price scale. You're more likely to get an interaction between price and perceived quality, because that comes down to 1, 2, 3 points or $5, $10. Whereas with the really top end wines, it's almost wanting to have a Rolls Royce and check out the engine before you drive it out of the sales room. So and that tasting is done that way over a period of 5 or 6 days. I do take my time in doing it, probably a bit more than normally. There is an overlay to this whole process when you look at what happens in wine shows. In wine shows, it have come around actually to the 100-point scale that I've been using for 15 years or so. And it's really only been in the last 5 years that there has been wide scale adoption of the 100-point system by wine shows. Their cut-offs and my cut-offs are the same. In other words, 95 points and above is a gold medal. As you get right to the very top, 98, 96, 7, 8, you're going up the scale to the point where you would ordinarily expect that wine to be a trophy winner, or certainly good enough to be a trophy winner, where it comes up against the unfortunate situation where there's another wine that is also equally good, and then you've just got to make a judgment call. Coming back down then to 95 points to get the red stars, or indeed they can be black in the first instance, but assuming this winery has been a 5-star winner, and that means they've had at least 2 wines in the companion for that year, or in the top 100. The system is really the same. They will keep that rating into the next year if they not only keep it for the next year but keep it for 3 years running. They then get 5 red stars. They can get pushed down if they fail in a particular year. But I never dock more than the equivalent of half a star. So if there are 5 red stars, they become 5 black. If there were 5 black, they become 4.5 black. You don't see any red once you go below 95. So it's and as I said, the top 100, you do have a price segmentation, but effectively, at the end of the day, while I don't do it while I'm judging, we actually have an algorithm that Paula and I created to get around beating my head against the brick wall to try and work out whether a given wine should get a value rosette or not, because there is an enormous amount of slippage possible between price on the one hand and quality in the other. And you can find a wine that has got 87 points, but it gets a red rosette because in fact it's very, very cheap. On the other hand, you can have a 95-point wine that doesn't get a value rosette because it's very expensive. And in the algorithm takes all of the sort of words out of that and just does it algebraically, and it works.